My wife was having an affair for 6 months. She thought I didn't know. I knew everything.
David Mitchell thought he had the perfect marriage, until the day he came home early and discovered his wife Jessica in bed with another man. But David didn't confront her. He didn't make a scene. He didn't file for divorce. Instead, he did something far more calculated. For 3 months, he played the oblivious husband while secretly gathering evidence, consulting lawyers, and planning the perfect moment to destroy everything she thought she had. That moment came on their 7th wedding anniversary, at the exact restaurant where he'd proposed 7 years earlier. And what happened next, in front of her parents, his parents, and her best friend, left Jessica completely and utterly speechless. This is the story of patience, calculated revenge, and justice served ice cold. My name is David Mitchell. I'm 34 years old, a senior project manager at a tech firm in Boston. And up until 6 months ago, I thought I had the perfect life. I met my wife Jessica when we were both 26. She was a marketing coordinator at a startup, ambitious and driven, with this infectious laugh that could light up a room. We hit it off immediately. Same sense of humor, same goals, same vision for the future. We dated for a year before I proposed. Did the whole traditional thing, asked her father's permission, planned a surprise proposal at the beach where we'd had our first weekend trip together, got down on one knee at sunset. She said yes before I even finished asking the question. Our wedding was beautiful. 200 guests, everyone we loved in one place, celebrating us. I remember looking at Jessica as she walked down the aisle and thinking, I'm the luckiest man alive. The first 5 years of our marriage were normal, good, even. We both worked hard, bought a house in the suburbs, adopted 2 dogs, a golden retriever named Murphy and a rescue mutt named Sadie. We did date nights every Friday, took vacations to places we'd always wanted to see, talked about starting a family soon. Sure, we had the normal marriage stuff, disagreements about whose family to visit for holidays, minor arguments about loading the dishwasher or leaving laundry in the dryer. But nothing serious. Nothing that made me question us. Jessica's career was taking off. She'd been promoted to senior marketing director at her company, which meant longer hours, more travel, more networking events. I was proud of her, supported her completely. When she said she needed to work late or attend evening conferences, I never questioned it. Why would I? I trusted her completely. 6 months ago, that trust was shattered in the space of 60 seconds. It was a Tuesday in March. I was scheduled to be in Chicago for a 3-day tech conference, panels, networking dinners, the usual corporate stuff. Jessica had dropped me off at the airport Monday morning, kissed me goodbye, told me she'd miss me. I love you, she'd said. Have a safe flight. Love you too, I'd replied, grabbing my carry-on. I'll call you when I land. The conference center was overbooked due to a scheduling conflict with another event. Tuesday morning, they announced they were moving our conference to next month. Just like that. Everyone pack up, go home, we'll send new dates. I wasn't upset. 3 unexpected days off? I'd surprise Jessica. Maybe take her to that Italian restaurant she loved. Make it a spontaneous romantic gesture. I texted her around 11 a.m. Conference got canceled. Don't worry, I'm fine. See you soon. She responded 20 minutes later. Oh no. That sucks, babe. Safe travels home. Normal. Casual. Nothing suspicious. I landed in Boston around 1 p.m., grabbed an Uber instead of bothering her to pick me up. On the way home, I stopped at the florist we always used for anniversaries and special occasions. The owner, Mrs. Chen, recognized me immediately. Mr. Mitchell, special occasion? Just surprising my wife, I said, picking out 24 red roses, Jessica's favorite. Coming home early from a trip, Mrs. Chen beamed. She's a lucky woman. These are beautiful. I got home around 2:15 p.m. Jessica's car was in the driveway. She'd mentioned working from home that day. Perfect, I thought. She'd be there for the surprise. I walked up to our front door, flowers in one hand, keys in the other, already imagining her face when she saw me. I unlocked the door as quietly as possible, wanted to maintain the surprise. Stepped into our foyer. The house was quiet. Too quiet? Jess? I called out softly, setting down my briefcase. Honey, I'm home early. No response. That's when I heard it. Laughter. Coming from upstairs. From our bedroom. Her laugh. The one I knew so well. The one I'd fallen in love with 8 years ago. And a man's voice. Deep. Unfamiliar. My heart stopped. Literally felt like it stopped beating for a full second. I stood frozen in my own foyer, roses in hand, listening to my wife laugh with another man in our bedroom. In the bed we'd shared for 7 years. The bed where we'd planned our future. Where we'd comforted each other through bad days. Where we'd made love thousands of times. Part of me wanted to storm up those stairs. Kick the door open. Confront them both. Make a scene. Scream. Break things. Demand answers. But another part of me, the rational, analytical part that had made me successful in my career, stopped me. What would confronting them right now accomplish? I'd be emotional, angry, out of control. She'd make excuses. He'd probably run. There'd be crying, gaslighting, promises to change, and I'd be left with nothing but their word that it would never happen again. I needed proof, evidence, irrefutable documentation of what was happening. I needed control of this situation. I carefully, silently, backed out of the house, set the roses on the porch, closed the door without a sound. I walked to my car and sat in the driver's seat for 20 minutes, just processing. My wife was cheating on me. In our home. In our bed. While I was supposed to be in Chicago. How long had this been going on? Who was he? How many times had this happened? And the biggest question, what was I going to do about it? I started the car and drove to a coffee shop 3 miles away. Ordered a black coffee I didn't drink. Sat in a corner booth and made a decision. I wasn't going to confront Jessica. Not yet. I was going to find out everything. Document everything. Build an airtight case. And then, when the moment was right, I was going to destroy the fantasy world she thought she was living in. I gave it an hour. Then I drove home. This time announcing my arrival normally. "Jess, I'm home." I called out as I walked in, making plenty of noise. She appeared at the top of the stairs, dressed in yoga pants and a t-shirt, hair slightly damp like she'd just showered. "David, oh my God. What happened?" She came down the stairs, giving me a hug and kiss. Normal, casual, like she hadn't just been with another man an hour ago. "Conference got canceled," I said, watching her face carefully. "Some scheduling mix-up. They sent everyone home." "That sucks, babe," she said, pulling back. "Well, at least we get extra time together, right?" "Right," I said. "What have you been up to today?" "Oh, boring work from home stuff. Had some Zoom calls this morning, caught up on emails. Just finished a workout actually, hence the shower-bot workout." "Right. How was your workout?" I asked casually. "Good. Did some yoga, some cardio. Feel great." Every word was a lie. Every sentence was betrayal wrapped in normalcy. And she was so good at it, so natural. No nervousness, no tells, no guilt visible on her face. That's when I realized, this wasn't the first time. "You don't get that good at lying overnight." "I'm gonna grab a shower," I said. "Long day of travel." "Sure, babe. I'll start dinner." I went upstairs to our bedroom. Our bed was made, perfectly neat. The room smelled like her lavender linen spray, the one she used when she wanted to freshen things up. Covering up evidence. I checked the bathroom trash. Condom wrapper, hastily buried under tissues. My hands started shaking. I gripped the bathroom counter, staring at my reflection in the mirror. This was real. This was actually happening. But I couldn't fall apart. Not yet. I had a role to play. I took a shower, got dressed, and went downstairs to have dinner with my wife like nothing had happened. Like my entire world hadn't just imploded. Over pasta that tasted like cardboard, I made small talk. Asked about her day, the real one, wondering how much she'd lie. She talked about her Zoom meetings, a project deadline, plans to have lunch with her friend Sarah on Thursday. Sarah, the friend whose name she used as an alibi for everything. "That'll be nice," I said. "You guys haven't hung out in a while." "I know, right? We're overdue for girl time." I wondered if she actually told Sarah about using her as cover, or if Sarah was completely innocent in all this, her name being dragged into Jessica's web of lies. After dinner, we watched television together on the couch. Jessica curled up against me, her head on my shoulder, her hand in mine. The same hands that had been on another man hours earlier. The same body that had betrayed me in the worst possible way. And she was acting like everything was normal. Like we were just a regular married couple having a quiet Tuesday evening at home. I lasted until 9:30 before I couldn't take it anymore. "I'm exhausted," I said. Not entirely a lie. Emotional devastation is exhausting. "Gonna head to bed." "I'll be up soon," Jessica said. "Just gonna finish this episode." I went upstairs and lay in our bed, the bed where she'd been with him, and stared at the ceiling for an hour before she finally came up. She got ready for bed, her usual routine. Brushed her teeth, washed her face, changed into pajamas. Then she climbed into bed next to me, kissed me goodnight, and rolled over. Within 10 minutes, she was asleep. Just like that. No guilt keeping her awake. No conscience eating at her. I, on the other hand, didn't sleep at all that night. I lay there in the darkness, listening to her breathe, and planned my next moves. The next morning, I called in sick to work. First sick day I'd taken in over a year. Jessica left for her office around 8:30, kissing me goodbye and telling me to rest up. The moment her car left the driveway, I got to work. First stop, our home office. Jessica's laptop was password protected, but I knew her passwords. She used the same 3 combinations for everything. One of them worked. Her email was a goldmine. Messages from someone named Marcus. Dozens of them going back 6 months. My hands shook as I clicked through them. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Thinking about Tuesday all week. That thing you did last time. Let's do that again. Your husband has no idea how lucky he is. If you were mine, I'd never let you go. I took screenshots of everything. Created a hidden folder on my own laptop, backed everything up to an encrypted cloud drive. Next, phone records. I logged into our cell carrier account. Jessica's call and text history showed hundreds of messages to an unknown number. Calls during her lunch breaks. Texts late at night when she said she was just scrolling social media before bed. I cross-referenced the number with the email signature on Marcus's messages. Matched perfectly. Marcus Turner, personal trainer at Elite Fitness Gym, the gym Jessica had joined 6 months ago claiming she wanted to get healthier. Of course, the cliché affair. Wife joins gym, sleeps with trainer. I would have laughed if it didn't hurt so much. I pulled up his social media. 29 years old. Muscular. Conventionally attractive. His Instagram was full of shirtless selfies, workout videos, and motivational quotes about living your best life. One photo from 3 weeks ago stopped me cold. Marcus at a bar with a woman, not Jessica. The caption, "Date night with my beautiful girl." He had a girlfriend. Jessica was having an affair with a man who was also cheating on his girlfriend. The layers of deception were almost impressive. I took screenshots of his social media, his girlfriend's profile, everything. Then I checked our credit card statements. 6 months of charges told the story clearly. Monthly charges to Elite Fitness Gym. Charges at hotels I'd never been to, always on days I was traveling for work. Purchases at Victoria's Secret, lingerie I'd never seen her wear. Restaurant charges for 2 at places we'd never gone together. She'd been using our joint credit card, our money, to finance her affair. Money I'd earned, that we'd saved together for our future, for the family we'd talked about having. Every charge was a slap in the face. I documented everything. Created spreadsheets, organized it chronologically, built a timeline of the affair with evidence for every claim. Then I did something I never thought I'd do. I hired a private investigator, found a firm with good reviews, paid their retainer with cash I withdrew from my personal account, gave them everything I had so far, asked them to get more. The investigator, a woman in her 50s named Patricia, looked over my evidence with professional detachment. "This is solid documentation already," she said. "You could probably proceed without us." "I need ironclad proof," I said. "Photos, videos if possible. Dates, times, locations. Everything." Patricia nodded slowly. "Planning to file for divorce?" "Eventually. But not yet. I need to time this right." She studied me for a moment. "Most people want to confront immediately. You're playing chess while everyone else plays checkers." "My wife has been lying to my face for 6 months," I said quietly. "She deserves to have her lies exposed in the most devastating way possible." "I'll get you what you need," Patricia said. "Give me 2 weeks." She got it done in 1. The surveillance photos and videos were damning. Jessica and Marcus entering the Route 9 motel at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday, a day she'd told me she was having lunch with Sarah and then working from home. Leaving 3 hours later, him with his arm around her waist, her laughing at something he said. Video footage of them at a restaurant across town, sitting in a corner booth, holding hands across the table. Jessica feeding him a bite of her dessert, both of them acting like teenagers in love. Photos of them at his apartment. Patricia had staked it out after following them from the gym. Jessica arriving at 7 p.m., leaving at 11. Multiple dates, multiple visits. The final report included details I hadn't asked for but was grimly grateful to have. Marcus's girlfriend's name was Amber. She had no idea about the affair. She worked night shifts as a nurse, which explained when Marcus had free time for his extracurricular activities. Patricia had also pulled Marcus's financial records. Guy barely made $30,000 a year and had $15,000 in credit card debt. Real winner. I now had a complete dossier. 6 months of evidence, irrefutable documentation of Jessica's affair, and I still hadn't confronted her about any of it. For the next 3 months, I played the role of the oblivious husband. And I played it perfectly. I went to work every day, came home for dinner, did the dishes, walked the dogs, mowed the lawn, maintained our normal routine like nothing had changed. But everything had changed. Every "one I love you" from Jessica's lips was sandpaper against my skin. Every kiss goodnight was betrayal I had to endure. Every time she touched me, I thought about her touching him. But I smiled. I acted normal. I played my part. She continued seeing Marcus 3 times a week like clockwork. Tuesdays and Thursdays when she claimed to be at the gym. Sunday mornings when she said she was going to yoga class. I knew exactly where she was. Patricia was still monitoring, keeping the documentation current, adding to my evidence file weekly. "You sure you don't want to just confront her?" Patricia asked during one of our updates. "This has to be eating you alive." "I'm sure," I said. "I'm waiting for the right moment." The right moment was coming. I could feel it. In the meantime, I had other preparations to make. I consulted with a divorce attorney. laid out everything I had. The attorney, a sharp woman named Rebecca Chen, reviewed my evidence with barely concealed satisfaction. "This is one of the most documented cases of infidelity I've ever seen," she said. "With this much evidence, we can push for a fault-based divorce. She'll have a hard time getting any kind of favorable settlement." "We have a prenup," I said. "From before we got married." Rebecca smiled. "Even better. She signed away rights to alimony if the marriage ended due to infidelity. With your documentation, this is going to be a very quick, very clean divorce." "I want to file the papers," I said. "But I don't want her served yet. I'm going to handle that part myself." Rebecca raised an eyebrow. "That's unusual. But if that's what you want, we can hold the paperwork until you give us the green light." We drafted everything. Divorce petition citing adultery, documentation attached, settlement terms laid out. Everything signed and ready to file, just waiting for my signal. I also did something else. Something I wasn't entirely proud of, but felt necessary. I contacted Marcus's girlfriend, Amber, found her through his social media, sent her a message from a dummy account, asked if we could talk. She was confused but agreed to meet me at a coffee shop. Amber was 27, a pediatric nurse working rotating shifts at the hospital. She had no idea who I was or why I wanted to meet her. I showed her the evidence, photos of Marcus with Jessica, the timeline, everything. Her face went through every emotion: shock, denial, hurt, anger. She cried. I handed her napkins and gave her space to process. "I'm so sorry," I finally said. "I know this isn't easy to hear." "How long have you known?" she asked, voice shaking. 3 months. I've been gathering evidence." 3 months? And you didn't? You just watched?" I needed to be sure. I needed documentation. And I'm not ready to confront them yet. Amber stared at me. "When are you going to do it?" "Soon. Very soon. I'm just waiting for the perfect moment." "I want to be there," she said suddenly. "When you do it, I want to see his face." "It's going to be public," I warned. "Humiliating for everyone involved." "Good," Amber said coldly. "He deserves to be humiliated." I gave her my number, told her I'd let her know when it was time. I also reached out to Jessica's parents. Had a very careful conversation with her father, a retired Marine colonel who'd always been kind to me. "Sir, I need to tell you something about Jessica. And I need to show you some things. But I need your word that you won't say anything to her until I'm ready." The conversation that followed was one of the hardest of my life. Watching Jessica's father's face as I showed him the evidence of his daughter's affair. The disappointment, the anger, the sadness. "I'm sorry, son," he'd said finally. "I raised her better than this." "I know, sir, and I'm sorry to put you in this position. But when I confront her, I want it to be in front of family. I want everyone to know the truth." He'd nodded grimly. "Tell me when." "We'll be there." I contacted my own parents, gave them the same information. My mother cried. My father was furious, wanted to confront Jessica immediately. I talked him down. "I need you to trust me," I said. "I have a plan, and when it happens, it's going to be something she never forgets." The final piece fell into place when I realized our 7th wedding anniversary was coming up. 7 years since we'd promised to love and honor each other. 7 years since she'd vowed to be faithful. The anniversary was on a Saturday. I made a reservation at Marcello's, the upscale Italian restaurant where I'd proposed to her 7 years earlier. The same restaurant where we'd celebrated every anniversary since. I specifically requested the same table. The one by the window overlooking the city lights. The one where I'd gotten down on one knee and asked her to be my wife. The perfect setting for the perfect revenge. The morning of our anniversary, Jessica woke up and rolled over to kiss me. "Happy anniversary, babe," she said, smiling. "Happy anniversary," I replied, wondering how she could be so casual, so normal, like she hadn't spent the last 6 months destroying our marriage. She'd actually gotten me a gift, a new watch, expensive, wrapped nicely. The card said, "To my husband, my best friend, my everything. Here's to many more years together. I love you always." I read those words and felt nothing but cold fury. "Thank you," I said, putting on the watch. "It's perfect. I have reservations for us tonight," I said. "Marcello's. 8 p.m. Her eyes lit up. "The place where you proposed?" "David, that's so romantic." "Romantic? Sure, that's one word for it. I figured we should do something special," I said. 7 years is a big deal." "It really is," she said, hugging me. "I can't believe it's been 7 years. Best 7 years of my life." I wondered if Marcus knew it was our anniversary. I wondered if she'd seen him this week. I wondered how many lies she'd have to tell today. The day passed in a surreal blur. Jessica spent the afternoon getting ready. Hair appointment, nails done, the works. She bought a new dress for the occasion, red and elegant. She looked beautiful. Of course she did. Jessica had always been beautiful. But beauty on the outside meant nothing when everything inside was rotten. I got dressed in my best suit, the same one I'd worn to our wedding, Still fit perfectly. Put on the new watch she'd given me. Looked at myself in the mirror and barely recognized the man staring back. 7 months ago, I'd been happy. Naive, but happy. Now I was someone else entirely. Someone colder, harder. Someone who'd learned that the person you trust most can destroy you without a second thought. We drove to Marcello's together. Jessica chatted the whole way, excited about the restaurant, reminiscing about our proposal, talking about how lucky she was to have me. The irony was almost funny. We arrived at 8 p.m. exactly. The hostess greeted us warmly, recognized us from previous anniversaries. Mr. and Mrs. Mitchell, wonderful to see you again. Happy anniversary. Thank you, I said. We requested a specific table? Yes, of course. The proposal table. Right this way. We followed her through the restaurant to the table by the window. The same table where 7 years ago, I'd knelt down and asked Jessica to marry me. The same table where she'd cried happy tears and said yes. Jessica teared up when she saw it. David, this is perfect. You're perfect. Sit down, Jess, I said quietly. We sat. The waiter came, brought wine, took our appetizer order. The restaurant hummed with quiet conversation, soft music, the clink of glasses and silverware. Jessica reached across the table and took my hand. I know I don't say it enough, but I love you so much. These 7 years have been everything I dreamed they'd be. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. I looked at her, really looked at her, trying to see if there was any guilt there, any remorse, any indication that she regretted what she'd been doing. Nothing. Just love in her eyes, or what she thought was love. Maybe what she'd convinced herself was love. I pulled my hand away gently. Jessica, I have something to show you. I pulled out my phone, slid it across the table toward her. She looked at it, confused. Then she looked at the screen, and her face went white. The photo showed her and Marcus entering the Route 9 motel. Timestamp from 3 days ago. Tuesday. The day she'd told me she was going to the gym. David, she whispered. I pulled out the manila folder I'd brought, set it on the table between us. That's 6 months of evidence, I said calmly. Photos, videos, text messages, email threads, credit card statements showing hotel charges and restaurant bills, phone records showing hundreds of calls and texts to Marcus Turner. Her hand shook as she reached for the folder. She opened it, flipped through a few pages, photos of her and Marcus, printouts of their text messages, hotel receipts, everything. How long have you? She started, but her voice failed. I've known since March, I said, my voice steady. That Tuesday I came home early from Chicago. Remember? My conference got canceled? She nodded mutely, tears starting to stream down her face. I came home early, bought you flowers, was going to surprise you. I paused. I heard you. With him. In our bed. Jessica's sob caught the attention of nearby tables. People were starting to stare. I didn't confront you then because I wanted to be sure, I continued. So I gathered evidence, hired a private investigator, documented everything. Every lie you told me. Every time you said you were at the gym, or having lunch with Sarah, or running errands. David, please, she whispered. I can explain. It's not what you think. I made a mistake. I'm so sorry. We can fix this. We can go to counseling. We're not fixing anything, Jessica. I pulled out another envelope. The divorce papers. I filed for divorce this morning. You'll be officially served Monday, but I figured you deserve to know now. Here. At the place where I proposed. Where you promised to love me and be faithful to me. Her hands trembled as she took the papers. She opened them, read the first page, and started crying harder. There's one more thing, I said. I gestured toward the entrance. Jessica turned and saw her parents walking in. Then my parents. Then Sarah, her best friend. Then Amber, Marcus's girlfriend. All of them walking toward our table. No, Jessica whispered. No. David, please. Not like this. Yes, like this, I said coldly. Because you don't get to keep this a secret. You don't get to control the narrative. Everyone who matters gets to know the truth. Her mother reached our table first, her face already showing she knew. The disappointment etched in every line. Jessica Marie, her mother said quietly. And that was all it took. Jessica broke down completely. Her father stood behind his wife, his military bearing rigid, his face a mask of controlled anger. This was the man who'd walked her down the aisle, who'd welcomed me into their family, who'd told me he was proud to have me as a son-in-law. Dad, please, I can explain, Jessica started. Explain what? Her father cut her off, his voice like steel. Explain how you threw away a good man? A good marriage? Explain how you lied to everyone who loved you? My own mother came to stand beside me, putting her hand on my shoulder. My father's face was thunderous as he looked at Jessica. You broke our son's heart, my mother said quietly. We welcomed you into our family. We loved you like a daughter. I'm sorry, Jessica sobbed. I'm so sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. It was a mistake. David, please. Sarah, her best friend, spoke up then. Her voice was cold. You used me, Jess. For 6 months, you used my name as an alibi for your affair. You made me an accomplice without even asking me. You lied to me every single time I asked if everything was okay with you and David. Jessica turned to Sarah, desperate. I never wanted to drag you into this. I never. But you did, Sarah interrupted. You made a choice. Every time you lied, you made a choice. And now you have to live with the consequences. Then Amber stepped forward. Marcus's girlfriend. The other woman who'd been betrayed. Jessica's eyes widened when she saw her. Who? I'm Amber, she said, her voice shaking but firm. Marcus's girlfriend. The girlfriend he forgot to mention while he was sleeping with you. Jessica's face somehow went even paler. What? Did you think you were special? Amber asked, and I could hear the pain beneath the anger. Did you think he actually cared about you? You were just another affair to him. Just another married woman he could manipulate. He told me he loved me, Jessica whispered, and the words were pathetic. He told me that too, Amber said. Last week. Right before I found out about you. I watched Jessica's world crumble in real time. Not only was her affair exposed, but she was realizing that the man she'd thrown away her marriage for hadn't even been faithful to her. She'd been a side piece to a side piece. Marcus has 3 other women he's been seeing, I said, delivering the final blow. The PI found evidence of at least 3 others over the past year. You weren't special, Jessica. You were just convenient. Jessica buried her face in her hands, her shoulders shaking with sobs. The restaurant had gone almost completely quiet. Other diners were watching now, unable to look away from the drama unfolding. The manager approached, concerned. Is everything all right here? Everything's fine, I said calmly. Just ending a marriage. We'll be leaving soon. I stood up, pulled out my wallet, and put $300 on the table. More than enough to cover dinner we'd never eat and compensate for the scene. The prenup you signed before we got married had an infidelity clause, I said to Jessica, who was still crying into her hands. Which means you get nothing in the divorce. No alimony. No claim to the house. No shared assets. You cheated, you lied, and now you pay the consequences. I pulled off the watch she'd given me that morning. Set it on the table. Happy anniversary, Jessica. I turned to her parents. I'm sorry you had to see this. I'm sorry your daughter put us all in this position. But you deserve to know the truth. Her father nodded stiffly. Her mother was crying quietly. I looked at my own parents. Thank you for coming. Let's go. As I walked toward the exit, I heard Jessica's voice behind me, desperate and broken. David, please, please don't leave me. I love you. It was a mistake, please. I didn't turn around, didn't look back, didn't give her the satisfaction of seeing any emotion on my face. I walked out of Marcello's with my parents beside me, leaving Jessica sobbing at the table where I'd once promised to love her forever. The last thing I heard before the door closed was her mother's voice, thick with disappointment. How could you do this, Jessica? How could you? I didn't sleep that night. Couldn't. I kept replaying the scene at the restaurant. Jessica's face when she saw the evidence. Her desperation when everyone she loved walked in. Her broken sobs when she realized she'd lost everything. Part of me, a very small part, felt guilty. Felt like maybe I'd gone too far. Maybe public humiliation was cruel. But then I remembered the 6 months of lies. The betrayal. The way she'd kissed me goodnight after spending hours with another man. The way she'd said I love you while living a double life. And the guilt evaporated. She'd made her choices. Now she was living with them. Sunday morning, my phone started ringing. Jessica's number. I'd expected this. I let it go to voicemail. She called 7 times in the first hour. Left 6 voicemails. Each one more desperate than the last. David, please answer. Please. We need to talk. I can explain everything. David, I know you're angry, but please don't do this. Don't throw away 7 years over one mistake. David, I'm begging you. I love you. I'll do anything to fix this. Anything. Please don't divorce me. Please. I can't lose you. I can't lose everything. The final voicemail was just crying. 3 minutes of sobbing and barely coherent words. I deleted all of them without listening all the way through. Text messages followed. Dozens of them. I'm so sorry. Please talk to me. It meant nothing. He meant nothing. You're the only one I love. Please don't leave me. I'll change. I promise I'll change. We can go to counseling. We can fix this. I blocked her number. Monday morning, Jessica was officially served the divorce papers at work. My attorney had arranged for a process server to deliver them at her office, around 10 a.m. when her coworkers would be around. Maximum impact. Maximum embarrassment. I got a text from Rebecca, my attorney. She's been served. She tried to refuse them. Didn't work. Papers are filed. Clock is ticking. Massachusetts required a 1-year separation period for no-fault divorces, but fault-based divorces, like ours, with documented adultery, could be expedited. With all my evidence and Jessica's inability to contest anything, Rebecca estimated we'd be officially divorced in 4 to 6 months. I also got a text from Amber that day. Just wanted you to know, I kicked Marcus out. Threw all his stuff on the lawn. His car was keyed when he came to pick it up. Wasn't me, but I'm not mad about it. Marcus, it turned out, was having his own reckoning. Word of the affair had spread through the gym where he worked. Several clients dropped him. The gym's management was reviewing his employment, concerned about professional ethics and potential liability. Sleeping with married clients was, apparently, frowned upon in the fitness industry. I took the week off work, told my boss I was dealing with a family emergency, which wasn't exactly a lie. He was understanding, told me to take whatever time I needed. I spent the week at my parents' house. Couldn't face going back to the house Jessica and I had shared. The house where she'd betrayed me. Where she'd brought him into our bed. My mother made sure I ate. My father went with me to the house one afternoon to pack a bag of essentials. We didn't talk much. Just grabbed clothes, my laptop, important documents. The house felt different. Empty. Even though all our furniture was still there. It felt like a shell. A museum of a marriage that no longer existed. In the bedroom, I grabbed clothes from my closet. Tried not to look at the bed. Failed. My father saw my face. Put a hand on my shoulder. Son, I know this hurts. But you did the right thing. You didn't let her make a fool of you. You took control. That takes strength. Doesn't feel like strength, I admitted. Feels like my life just imploded. It did, my father said honestly. But you'll rebuild. You're young. You'll heal from this. And someday you'll find someone who deserves you. I wanted to believe him. Wednesday, I got a call from Sarah, Jessica's former best friend. I just wanted to check on you, she said. See how you're holding up. I'm managing, I said. Day by day. Jessica's been calling me non-stop, Sarah said. Begging me to talk to you, to convince you to give her another chance. I told her I won't. I meant what I said at the restaurant. What she did was unforgivable. Thank you, I said. For being there that night. I know it wasn't easy. She's a mess, David. Lost her job. That stopped me. What? She had a breakdown at work yesterday. Complete meltdown in the break room. Her boss sent her home, told her to take some time off. This morning they called and said they were restructuring her position. Corporate speak for fired. I should have felt satisfaction. Instead, I just felt tired. She's staying with her parents, Sarah continued. Her mother called me yesterday, asked if I thought there was any chance you'd reconsider. I told her no. There isn't, I confirmed. Got good. You deserve better than what she gave you. Friday morning, I drove past our house. Jessica's car was in the driveway. She'd apparently moved back in, or at least was staying there. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. David, it's Jessica. I'm using my mom's phone since you blocked me. Please, we need to talk. I'm at the house. Please come home. I love you. I stared at the text for a long moment. Then I forwarded to Rebecca, my attorney, with a note. She's not respecting boundaries. What are my options? Rebecca's response came quickly. Document everything. If she continues harassing you, we can pursue a restraining order. Do not engage with her directly. I didn't respond to Jessica's text. Instead, I drove to a realtor's office. If Jessica was staying in our house, fine. But I wasn't going back there. Ever. I was going to rebuild my life somewhere else. The divorce process moved faster than I expected. Having ironclad evidence of adultery and a prenup with an infidelity clause made everything straightforward. Jessica tried to fight it at first. Hired her own attorney. Attempted to contest the terms. Her lawyer argued that she deserved some compensation. That 7 years of marriage entitled her to something. Rebecca shut it down in one meeting. Your client violated the prenuptial agreement she willingly signed, Rebecca said calmly, laying out page after page of evidence. She committed adultery, documented thoroughly over a 6-month period. She has no legal grounds to contest any of this. Jessica's attorney reviewed the evidence, the photos, the hotel receipts, the text messages, everything. Then he had a private conversation with Jessica. He withdrew from her case the next day. Turns out most attorneys don't want to represent clients with absolutely no legal standing and overwhelming evidence against them. Bad for their reputation. Jessica tried to represent herself after that. Kept filing motions, requesting mediation, asking for delays. Every single one was denied. The judge handling our case took one look at the evidence and made his position clear. This was an open and shut case of marital infidelity. The prenuptial agreement was valid and enforceable. There would be no alimony. No division of assets beyond what Jessica had brought into the marriage herself. The house? Mine. The savings account? Mine. The cars? The one I'd purchased before we married was mine. The one we'd bought together during the marriage went to me as well since it was titled in my name and I'd made all the payments. Jessica was entitled to her personal belongings, her retirement account from her own employment, and nothing else. She'd gambled everything on an affair with a personal trainer who'd been using her. And she'd lost it all. 2 months after the anniversary confrontation, We had our first and only court appearance together. I arrived with Rebecca. Jessica arrived alone, looking nothing like the woman I'd married. She'd lost weight, too much weight. Her clothes hung on her frame. She had dark circles under her eyes. Her hair, which she'd always kept perfectly styled, was pulled back in a messy ponytail. She looked broken. When her eyes met mine across the courtroom, she started crying, silent tears streaming down her face. I felt nothing. The hearing lasted 15 minutes. The judge reviewed the prenuptial agreement, the documented evidence of adultery, and the proposed settlement terms. Mrs. Mitchell, do you contest any of the evidence presented regarding your extramarital affair? Jessica's voice was barely a whisper. No, Your Honor. Do you contest the terms of the prenuptial agreement you signed prior to marriage? No, Your Honor. Do you have any objection to the settlement terms as proposed? A long pause. Then, no, Your Honor. Very well. I'm granting the divorce petition. Terms of the prenuptial agreement will be enforced. Mrs. Mitchell, you have 30 days to remove your personal belongings from the marital home. Mr. Mitchell, you're to have no contact with Mrs. Mitchell outside of what's necessary for her to retrieve her belongings. Coordination should go through your attorneys. The gavel came down. 7 years of marriage, ended in 15 minutes. Jessica tried to approach me as we left the courtroom. Rebecca stepped between us. No contact, Mrs. Mitchell. You heard the judge. David, please, Jessica said, her voice desperate. Just give me 1 minute, please. I looked at her, really looked at her. Tried to see any remnant of the woman I'd fallen in love with 8 years ago. She was still there, somewhere under the devastation and guilt, but she was buried beneath 6 months of lies and betrayal. You had 6 months to be honest with me, I said quietly. 6 months to end things with him and come clean. 6 months to save our marriage. You chose not to. You don't get another minute now. I walked away. It was the last time I spoke to her. Over the next month, Jessica's mother coordinated the removal of her belongings from the house. I made sure I wasn't there when they came. Spent the day at work, came home to find half the closets empty, some furniture missing, things she'd brought into the marriage, and a note on the kitchen counter. The note was in Jessica's handwriting. David, I know you probably won't read this. I know you've moved on, that I destroyed any chance of us ever reconciling. But I need to say this anyway, even if it's just for me. I'm sorry. Those words aren't enough, will never be enough, but they're all I have. I made the worst mistake of my life. I threw away the best thing that ever happened to me. I destroyed a good man's trust and love. And I did it knowingly, repeatedly, without regard for the consequences. I can make excuses. I was bored. I felt unappreciated. I was going through something. Marcus manipulated me, but they're all just excuses. The truth is, I made a choice. Every time I lied to you, every time I met with him, every time I came home and acted like everything was normal, those were all choices, and they were all wrong. You deserved better. You deserved honesty and loyalty and love. You gave me all of those things, and I threw them away for someone who never cared about me at all. I lost you. I lost my job. I lost my friends. I lost my family's respect. I lost everything, and I know I deserve all of it. If I could go back and change things, I would. If I could undo every lie, every betrayal, I would do it in a heartbeat. But I can't. All I can do is live with what I've done and try to become a better person. I hope someday you find someone who deserves you. Someone who will love you the way you deserve to be loved. Someone who will never take you for granted the way I did. I'll always love you. I know I have no right to say that anymore, but it's true. You were the best thing in my life, and I destroyed it. I'm sorry, Jessica. I read the note once. Then I folded it, put it in a drawer, and tried to forget about it, but I couldn't throw it away. Even after everything, some part of me wasn't ready to completely erase her from my life. Not yet. 3 months after the divorce was finalized, I was living in a new apartment downtown. Modern building, city views, complete fresh start. Nothing in the apartment reminded me of Jessica or our life together. I'd sold the house. Couldn't stand to live there, couldn't stand to keep it. Too many memories, too much pain embedded in every room. The new owners took possession in early September, and I walked away with a substantial profit that went straight into investments. Work had become my sanctuary. I'd thrown myself into projects, worked longer hours, took on additional responsibilities. My boss noticed and rewarded it. I was promoted to Director of Project Management in July. The promotion came with a significant raise and enough new challenges to keep my mind occupied during the day. Nights were still hard. That's when the thoughts crept in, when the anger would resurface, or worse, the sadness, the grief for what I'd lost, even though I knew I was better off without her. I'd started therapy in June. Every Tuesday at 6 p.m., I sat in Dr. Morrison's office and talked about betrayal, trust, anger, and healing. You did everything right, legally and strategically, Dr. Morrison said during one session. But how are you doing emotionally? I'm angry, I admitted. Still angry. Some days more than others. That's normal. Healthy, even. You were betrayed by someone you trusted completely. Anger is a natural response. But I also feel empty sometimes. Like I lost part of myself when the marriage ended. You did lose part of yourself, Dr. Morrison said gently. The part that trusted easily. The part that believed in happily ever after. That's a real loss, David. You're allowed to grieve it. The grief came in waves. Some days I was fine, productive, social, even happy. Other days I'd see a couple holding hands or hear a song that reminded me of Jessica, and I'd feel like I was back in that foyer, roses in hand, hearing her laugh with another man. But the good days started outnumbering the bad ones. I reconnected with friends I'd lost touch with during my marriage. Started going to the gym, ironically, though I made sure it wasn't elite fitness. Took up hobbies I'd abandoned. Traveled to places I'd always wanted to see but Jessica had never been interested in. I was rebuilding. Slowly, painfully, but rebuilding nonetheless. In August, I heard through Sarah that Jessica had moved to another state, Rhode Island, living with a college friend, working as a marketing assistant at a small firm. Starting over somewhere no one knew her story. Sarah and I had become genuine friends through all of this. She'd been checking on me regularly, invited me to group hangouts with her friends, helped me ease back into social situations. How do you feel about her leaving? Sarah asked over coffee one Saturday. Relieved, honestly, I said. Knowing she's not in the same city makes it easier to move forward. Have you thought about dating again? I laughed. Absolutely not. I'm nowhere near ready for that. You will be eventually, Sarah said. When you're ready, you're going to make someone very happy. Someone who actually deserves you this time. Maybe, I said, someday, but not now. I also heard, through the same grapevine, that Marcus had been fired from Elite Fitness. Multiple complaints from clients, plus the scandal of his affairs had made him unemployable in Boston's fitness community. Last anyone heard, he'd moved to Florida. Amber, his ex-girlfriend, had reached out to me once after everything settled. We'd met for coffee, two people bound by shared betrayal. I'm dating someone new, she'd told me. Someone honest. Someone trustworthy. It's slow going. I have trust issues now, obviously, but it's good. I'm happy for you, I'd said, and meant it. You'll get there too, she'd said. Took me a while, but I realized that what Marcus did doesn't define me. What Jessica did doesn't define you either. We're more than their worst choices. Those words had stuck with me. 6 months after the divorce, I was having dinner with my parents when my mother brought it up. You seem better, she said. Different. Lighter. Somehow. I feel better, I admitted. Some days are still hard, but overall, I'm okay. I'm actually okay. I'm proud of you, my father said. You handled this with more grace and strength than most men would. You didn't let her destroy you. I almost did, I said honestly. Those first few months after I found out, I was barely holding it together, playing the role of normal husband while dying inside. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. But you did it, my mother said. You kept control. You protected yourself. And you're healing now. I am, I agreed. Finally, that night, I went home to my apartment, poured a glass of bourbon, and sat on my balcony overlooking the city lights. I thought about Jessica. About the woman I'd married and the woman she'd become. About the lies and the betrayal and the spectacular destruction of everything we'd built. And I realized something. I didn't hate her anymore. I didn't love her either. The love had died somewhere between discovering her affair and watching her sob in that restaurant. But I didn't hate her. I felt nothing. Indifference. She was just someone I used to know. Someone who taught me painful but necessary lessons about trust, love, and self-respect. I took out my phone and pulled up that drawer where I'd stored her goodbye note. Read it one more time. Then I deleted it. I didn't need to hold on to it anymore. Didn't need to keep any piece of her in my life. I was done. Finally, completely done. And for the first time in 6 months, I felt truly free. 1 year after the divorce, I was genuinely happy. Not pretending, not performing. Actually happy. I'd been promoted again at work, now VP of Operations. The job was challenging, rewarding, and kept me engaged. I'd started dating. Nothing serious yet. Just casual relationships while I figured out what I wanted and rebuilt my ability to trust. It was slow going, but I was making progress. I'd even bought a new house. Different neighborhood, different style, nothing like the suburban home Jessica and I had shared. This one was mine alone, filled with my choices, my memories, my future. The anniversary of that dinner at Marcello's came and went. I didn't celebrate it, but I didn't dwell on it either. It was just another day. I ran into Jessica's mother once, at a grocery store. She'd aged noticeably. Stress and disappointment etched into her face. David, she'd said, surprised. How are you? I'm well, Mrs. Richardson. You? Managing. Jessica asks about you sometimes. Wonders how you're doing. I'd nodded politely. I hope she's doing well. She's trying to move forward. It's been hard for her. I imagine it has, I'd said, and meant it without malice. I hope she finds what she's looking for. We'd parted cordially, and I'd continued shopping, unbothered by the encounter. That night, I thought about the man I'd been a year ago. The man who'd come home early with flowers, full of love and trust. The man who'd been shattered by betrayal. That man was gone. He'd died in the foyer of a suburban house, roses falling from his hands. The man I was now was different, harder in some ways, softer in others. More cautious but also more authentic. Less willing to accept lies but more appreciative of genuine connection. I'd learned that love requires more than passion and promises. It requires honesty, respect, and integrity. Without those foundations, even the most perfect-seeming relationship is built on sand. I'd learned that betrayal reveals character, both the betrayer's and your own. Jessica's betrayal showed me who she really was beneath the performance. My response showed me who I could be when tested. I'd learned that revenge, when done right, isn't about cruelty. It's about justice, about ensuring that actions have consequences, about refusing to be anyone's fool. Some people might say what I did was too harsh, that public humiliation was excessive, that I should have handled it privately, quietly, with more mercy. But those people weren't the ones who'd been lied to for 6 months. Who'd played the oblivious husband while gathering evidence. Who'd had to kiss their cheating wife goodnight and pretend everything was fine. I did what I needed to do, and I'd do it again. One evening, I was having drinks with friends when someone asked me about my marriage. Do you regret marrying her? I thought about it, really thought about it. No, I said finally. The first 5 years were real. They were good. I don't regret those years. What about the last 2? The affair? I don't regret those either, in a weird way. They taught me things I needed to learn, made me stronger, showed me what I won't tolerate in relationships anymore. Do you think you'll ever trust someone completely again? That question was harder. I don't know, I admitted. Maybe, with the right person, given enough time. But I'll never be naive again. I'll never ignore red flags or dismiss my instincts. Trust will have to be earned, continuously, not just assumed. My friend raised his glass. To hard-earned wisdom. To hard-earned wisdom, I echoed. That night, walking home through the city, I thought about Jessica one last time. I hope she'd learned from what happened. I hope she'd become a better person, that she'd never do to someone else what she'd done to me. But whether she had or not wasn't my concern anymore. My concern was my own life, my own future, my own happiness. And for the first time in a long time, that future looked bright. I'd survived betrayal. I'd rebuilt myself from the ashes of a broken marriage. I'd learned to be happy alone before seeking happiness with someone else. Jessica had thought I'd never know about her affair. She'd thought she could keep living her double life indefinitely. She'd been wrong. And on that anniversary night at Marcello's, when her entire world came crashing down around her, she'd been left completely and utterly speechless, which was exactly what she deserved.